The alarm blares across the company headquarters, a sharp, unforgiving sound that slices through the otherwise calm atmosphere. John Matthews, the CEO of TitanCorp, stands frozen in his office, his gaze fixed on the live broadcast, flashing across his sleek, modern desk. His phone vibrates relentlessly, dozens of messages flooding in, each more urgent than the last. The board is in panic. Whispers of betrayal fill the air, and his loyal staff has begun to question his leadership. The announcement was unexpected, but devastating. An insider leak of confidential data, coupled with a high-profile scandal, threatens to destroy everything John has built. He had always been in control, always a step ahead. But now, the ground beneath him is shifting, and he's scrambling to find solid footing. His reputation, hard-earned through decades of ruthless ambition, is on the verge of collapse. As the news anchor's voice drones on, John's mind races, calculating his next move. But every path seems to lead to more disaster. His empire, his legacy, may already be slipping through his fingers. John Matthews, still standing by the window, feels the weight of the world pressing against his chest. The phone calls are relentless, the board members demanding answers, the media circling like vultures. The scandal has shattered his carefully curated public image. What started as a quiet leak has spiraled into an uncontrollable nightmare. The walls seem to close in as he contemplates his next steps. His mind races through scenarios, each more disastrous than the last. But as he contemplates the inevitable fallout, a voice in the hallway breaks through his thoughts. "John, we need you in the conference room, now." He turns, steeling himself for the next battle. His loyal confidant is waiting, but there's no time to prepare for what's coming next. The conference room is cold, its modern design offering little comfort to the gathered executives. John Matthews steps inside, his expression betraying none of the fear he feels. The tension is palpable. His eyes scan the room, meeting the gazes of his most trusted advisors, his loyal confidant, Caroline, his chief counsel, Derek, and a few board members who look more anxious than determined. Caroline, standing at the head of the table, gives him a slight nod. John, the media storm is growing. They're demanding answers. Derek, sitting across from Caroline, looks grim. "We have to act fast. The investors are panicking, and if we don't reassure them by the end of the day, they might pull out." John can feel the walls closing in. His mind is clouded by the swirling doubts of who might be behind this leak. But there's no time for speculation now. "I'll speak to the press," he says, voice steady but hollow. His breath catches as the weight of what that means settles in. There's no turning back. The company he's worked his entire life to build might collapse under the pressure. As the meeting drags on, John's thoughts drift. Caroline speaks, her voice calm, but there's an underlying urgency. "John, we need a clear response to this crisis. If we don't contain it now, it could be over for TitanCorp." Derek shifts in his seat, flipping through a file of potential damage control strategies. "The investors want your assurances, but they need more than just words. They need action." A cold sweat forms on John's brow. The pressure mounts. He's spent decades building his empire on trust and innovation, but now it's all on the line. His competitors are already circling, ready to swoop in on the weakness. As Caroline outlines a possible PR response, John feels the heat of the moment intensifying. Every word spoken in the room feels like a decision that could cost him everything. "I can't make this right in a day," John mutters, his voice barely above a whisper. But the board's unwavering gaze tells him it's too late for hesitation. As the meeting breaks up, John heads to his office, his mind swirling with the weight of the decisions ahead. The company's fate hangs in the balance, and no matter how he spins it, his reputation will never be the same again. His phone vibrates, another urgent message from his lawyer. As he reads it, the words blur together. Public apology, investor confidence, damage control. His head is pounding. The door to his office opens and Caroline steps in, her expression calm but concerned. "John, we can still salvage this, but it's going to require drastic action. We need to decide fast." John drops his phone on the desk and exhales sharply, leaning back in his chair. His hands tremble slightly. "What if it's too late?" he whispers, more to himself than to Caroline. She sits across from him, her voice firm. "It's never too late, not yet. But we need to act now." The phone call lasts less than a minute, but it sends a ripple of dread through John Matthews. The voice on the other end is calm, too calm, almost rehearsed. "We have evidence, John. You're going to want to hear this." The words echo in his mind as he slowly lowers the receiver. It's Caroline's voice that pulls him back to the present as she stands across the room, eyes sharp and alert. "You don't have to go through this alone, John. We'll fix this." But John knows it's not just about fixing the scandal anymore. It's about survival. In the weeks leading up to the leak, something had been off. Someone inside the company was orchestrating this disaster. John knows that much, but finding out who could destroy everything he's worked for. As he watches Caroline carefully, his mind races. A trusted employee? An insider who had slowly planted seeds of doubt and betrayal? The options are many, and each one is worse than the last. And yet, in the back of his mind, he suspects that Caroline knows more than she's letting on. The game is shifting, and John realizes he's no longer in control. Later that day, John meets with his legal team, a room full of cold, calculating faces. Derek, his chief counsel, leans in, speaking in a low voice. "We've identified the leak, John, and it's someone very close to you." The words hit harder than the phone call. Someone close to him? His mind flashes to his closest allies, trying to piece together the puzzle. Derek slides a file across the table, showing a list of suspicious transactions. "It's been going on for months, but we think we've traced the leak to a senior executive." John's stomach tightens. "Who?" he demands, though he's already starting to suspect. Derek takes a breath, then names the person, Caroline. John's heart skips a beat. He feels the ground beneath him shift again. Caroline? She's been his confidant, his right hand for years. But the evidence is there, clear as day. The betrayal feels personal, and yet it makes sense. She has the means, the access. But why? And more importantly, how could he not have seen it? John confronts Caroline in private, his face a mix of anger and betrayal. "You've been working against me," he says, his voice low and strained. Caroline's eyes are steely, emotionless. "I didn't want this, John, but you left me with no choice." John can't process the words. His mind replays every moment he's spent with her, every conversation, every late-night strategy meeting, every shared secret. To think she could betray him like this. It's more than just business. It feels personal. Caroline doesn't flinch, her gaze unwavering. "I had my reasons," she says coldly. "You're too consumed by your empire to see what's happening around you. I wasn't going to sit by and watch you destroy everything for a vanity project." John's heart races as he processes her words. This isn't just a business rivalry. It's something deeper. The weight of the betrayal settles like a heavy stone in his chest. Caroline has been playing him all along. The following days are a blur. The company's stock takes a nosedive as the media storm intensifies. John feels the pressure mounting from all sides. He knows the truth now, but the damage is already done. Caroline has gone into hiding, leaving John to clean up the mess. His team is fractured, and whispers of a hostile takeover circulate in the boardroom. The manipulative rival, Richard Cole, has been waiting for this moment, ready to seize control. He's been circling for years, waiting for any sign of weakness, and now he smells blood in the water. John tries to fight back, but every move feels like a step deeper into quicksand. Richard is playing a long game, and John is struggling to stay afloat. The game of corporate chess has begun, and it feels like he's outmatched at every turn. He knows his next move will be crucial, but every choice is fraught with danger. His grip on TitanCorp is slipping, and time is running out. In the dead of night, John receives an unexpected visitor. It's Richard Cole, his longtime rival, standing at the door of his office with a smirk that sends a chill down John's spine. "We need to talk," Richard says, his voice smooth, almost mocking. John's stomach churns. He knows this is the moment when everything changes. Richard offers a deal, one that sounds too good to be true. "I can help you fix this, John," he says. "Together we can take back control. All you have to do is step aside and let me handle things." John's mind races. The offer is tempting, perhaps his only way out. But he knows the cost. Accepting Richard's help would mean sacrificing everything he's worked for. It would mean letting go of TitanCorp, of his legacy. But what choice does he have left? He's being cornered from all sides. As Richard waits for a response, John feels the weight of his options. It's a choice between survival and defeat, between control and submission. The game is far from over, but for the first time, John isn't sure if he'll win. John Matthews stands at the helm of TitanCorp, grappling with a choice that could make or break everything. The stock is still plummeting, but there's an opportunity if he acts quickly. Richard Cole's offer still lingers in his mind. An alliance. The temptation to secure his position is overwhelming. But at what cost? He could sell out his legacy, his control of the company, and possibly his soul. The moment weighs heavily on him. In his office, staring out over the city skyline, he can't help but feel the darkness of the storm growing inside him. Every decision he's made has led him here, to this precipice. He had always believed in winning at any cost, but now, with his back against the wall, that belief seems hollow. He's trapped. As he watches the lights flicker in the distance, he knows that if he makes this deal with Richard, he might be playing into his rival's hands. But can he afford not to? Time is running out. He knows he must act, but every move feels like a shot in the dark. John's decision is made. He enters the boardroom with his team, his face set in stone. "We're going forward with the deal," he announces, his voice devoid of emotion. Derek looks at him, hesitating before speaking. "John, you're sure about this?" Richard isn't just offering help. He's positioning himself to take over. But John doesn't flinch. "I don't have a choice," he says flatly. "We either accept his terms or lose everything. We need his support, and I'm not losing TitanCorp." The room falls silent. Caroline's absence is palpable. The betrayal still stings, but there's no time for personal grievances. The deal must go forward. As the team begins to prepare for the next phase, John's mind continues to race. The risk is colossal, but in his mind, the alternative is worse. He has no illusions about Richard's intentions, but this is a war, and John has always played to win. The meeting ends, but the weight of the decision hangs heavily on John. He can hear the hum of the city outside, but it feels distant, almost irrelevant. As he walks back to his office, his mind spirals. Was this the right choice? Did he just sell TitanCorp's soul to secure his future? The office feels colder than usual as he sits behind his desk, his hand reaching for the glass of water in front of him. But just before he can take a sip, his phone buzzes, an incoming message from his lawyer. "John, you need to see this." The message contains a news alert. A rival company has just filed for a merger with TitanCorp. It's the final blow in a series of calculated moves that have been unfolding without his knowledge. He slams the glass down onto the table, his frustration palpable. The game has shifted. What he thought was his best option may have been a setup all along. The real battle is about to begin. The news of the merger hits hard. TitanCorp's board is in a frenzy as John gathers them in a hastily called meeting. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he mutters under his breath. The executives are arguing, but John remains silent, his mind working through the implications. Richard Cole has played his hand perfectly. He's been orchestrating this from the beginning, pulling the strings behind the scenes. But now, John has one last chance to regain control. His voice cuts through the chaos. "We're going to make a counteroffer. We'll outbid them. We'll crush this merger before it ever sees the light of day." There's a brief silence. The tension in the room is unbearable. Every person at the table knows the risks involved. But they also know that John Matthews doesn't back down. Not now, not ever. We'll need every resource we have, Derek says, eyes narrowing. This is a full-on assault. John nods. It's the only way. The battle for TitanCorp escalates. John Matthews throws everything he has into securing the future of the company. He makes calls, negotiates, and pressures everyone he can. But Richard's influence is far-reaching. As John walks into the office after another grueling day, he receives an unexpected visitor. It's the disillusioned mentor, the former CEO of TitanCorp, now a shadow of his former self. "You're playing their game, John," the mentor says with a weary voice. "They'll never let you win. Not this way." John listens intently, though his pride burns at the suggestion. "Then how do I win?" he demands. The mentor smiles faintly. "You have to stop playing by their rules. It's the only way to survive." John's mind races as he considers this advice. Maybe there's a way out of this without losing everything. But to take that step, he'd have to betray his own principles. It's a risk he might have to take. The hours drag on as John Matthews digs deeper into the files on his desk, searching for any shred of evidence that could help him regain control. TitanCorp is crumbling, and Richard Cole's looming shadow is everywhere. But something feels off. John hasn't been able to shake the nagging feeling that someone within the company is still playing both sides. His thoughts are interrupted by a knock on his office door. It's Caroline. She's returned, and John doesn't know whether to trust her or confront her with the betrayal. "We need to talk," she says, her voice steady, but there's an unmistakable edge to it. John's pulse quickens, the room suddenly feeling much smaller. He motions for her to sit. "You've got 10 minutes, he says coldly. Caroline's eyes flash with something akin to regret, but her words are measured as she speaks. "I've been trying to make things right, John, but you need to listen to me. There's something you don't know. Something you should have known long before now." Caroline speaks quickly, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Richard's not the only one who's been playing this game. There's someone else. Someone who's been working behind your back." John's mind races, his heart pounding. Could it be? His thoughts jump to the shadow investor, the unseen force pulling the strings from the shadows. But Caroline's next words send a chill down his spine. "It's not the investor. It's someone much closer to home." The room feels colder as Caroline names the person. Someone John trusted implicitly, someone whose loyalty he had never questioned. The ground beneath John's feet shifts as the truth hits him like a ton of bricks. He stares at Caroline, his voice trembling with disbelief. "You're telling me it was Derek?" Caroline nods solemnly, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of guilt and sorrow. "Yes, John. Derek's been feeding information to Richard Cole, all along." The silence that follows is deafening. John feels the walls closing in. His world is falling apart, and the person he trusted most has been betraying him from the inside. Confrontation with Derek is inevitable. John's blood runs cold as he watches Derek enter his office, a smug expression on his face. Derek sits down across from him, his usual confident demeanor masking the trepidation that John can now sense. "I think you've been hiding something from me, Derek," John says, his voice low and menacing. Derek's smile falters, but he quickly regains his composure. "What are you talking about?" he replies, feigning innocence. John's fists clench at his sides, his mind racing. He knows that Caroline's revelation was true. There's no denying it now. "You've been feeding information to Richard Cole, haven't you?" John's words cut through the air like a knife. Derek's face pales, and for a split second, he hesitates. But then, with a laugh that doesn't reach his eyes, Derek admits it. "I didn't have a choice, John. You were too weak to lead. I had to do what was necessary for my future. Richard's offer was too good to pass up." The betrayal stings, but John knows he has to keep his cool. "You've just sealed your fate, Derek. You're out." With Derek's betrayal exposed, John's resolve hardens. The company's future is uncertain, but he's not going down without a fight. He calls in his team and begins to formulate a plan to fight back against Richard Cole's growing influence. We need to move quickly, John says, his voice firm. Derek's out, but the damage is done. Richard will try to use this to his advantage. We can't let him win. The team nods in agreement, but there's an undercurrent of uncertainty. Richard has the resources, the connections, and the loyalty of key investors. Still, John isn't about to let TitanCorp fall. The game has changed, and John Matthews is no longer playing by Richard's rules. We go after his allies, John says with conviction. If we take down his network, we take him down. The plan is risky, but it's the only chance John has left to salvage his company. The plan to undermine Richard Cole begins, and the first step is to confront the shadow investor. John's sources have pinpointed the mysterious figure, and now is time to confront them. This ends now, John mutters to himself as he walks into a dimly lit hotel suite. He's not alone. Derek's absence leaves a hole in the team, but John has learned to rely on fewer people now. The suite is dark, with only the faint glow of city lights filtering through the curtains. Across the room, the shadow investor, 60s, Caucasian, sharp features, gray hair, impeccably dressed, stands facing the window, looking out at the sprawling city below. "I've come for answers," John says, his voice cold but resolute. The investor turns slowly, a smile playing at the edges of his lips. "You've come for power, John, but power comes at a price. You're not prepared to pay it." John's eyes narrow. "I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. This ends now." The final confrontation has begun, and John knows this will either be his victory or his downfall. The boardroom is cold, the tension thick in the air. John Matthews stands at the head of the table, his mind working through the final steps of a desperate plan to reclaim TitanCorp. The board members, silent and watching, wait for his next move. "We've done everything we can," John says, his voice tight with frustration. "But it's not enough. Richard Cole has more resources, more influence than we ever anticipated. And now, Derek's betrayal has left us exposed." His fingers tap on the polished surface of the table as he considers his options. The stock is plummeting, the press is relentless, and every corner he turns, there's another obstacle. But we're not out of options. I will not let this empire fall. His eyes sweep across the room, meeting the gaze of each board member. We fight. We push back with everything we have left. No more deals, no more waiting. A quiet murmur of agreement ripples through the group. The stakes have never been higher, but John's resolve is unyielding. They are at war now, and this will be a fight to the finish. As John leaves the boardroom, the weight of his decision presses down on him. His phone buzzes in his pocket, another call from Caroline. He hesitates before answering, unsure of what to expect. "John, we have a problem." Caroline's voice is strained, and he can hear the urgency in her tone. "I've just received intel. Richard is planning a hostile takeover in the next 48 hours. He's already got the backing of the majority of the board." John stops in his tracks, the news hitting him harder than he anticipated. "We need to act now," Caroline continues. "We can't let him get ahead of us. If we don't make a move, it's over." John's mind races as he calculates the risks. He has no choice but to go on the offensive. "Set up a meeting with the board. We need to secure the votes before it's too late," he says, his voice firm. The final battle for TitanCorp is about to begin. The meeting with the board is tense. John sits at the head of the table, a sense of finality in the air. "We have one shot at this," he begins, his voice calm but intense. "Richard is coming for us, and we can't afford to hesitate. If we don't act now, TitanCorp will be his." The board members exchange uneasy glances. They all know the stakes. Some are loyal, others are swayed by the offer Richard has made, but John's voice cuts through the uncertainty. "We need to secure the votes. We need to consolidate our power before Richard takes control." Derek's absence is felt in the room. His betrayal looms over them all. But John refuses to let that break their resolve. "We've faced worse odds," John says, his eyes locking with each member of the board. "Now is the time to show what TitanCorp is really made of." The room falls silent as the weight of his words settles in. The battle for control is on, and there's no turning back. The battle intensifies. The media frenzy surrounding the potential takeover only adds to the pressure. John's every move is scrutinized, and the stock continues to dive. As he sits in his office, surrounded by reports and legal documents, he feels the weight of the situation closing in. The door to his office opens, and Caroline steps in, her face grim. "We've secured the votes, John, but Richard's already making moves. He's orchestrating a smear campaign, painting you as the villain." John slams his fist on the desk in frustration. "I've been fighting for this company for years," he says, through gritted teeth. "And now, he's trying to take it all away with lies?" Caroline nods. "We have to be prepared for anything. The next 24 hours will decide everything." John looks out the window, his mind racing. He knows the fight is far from over. Then we fight. We go on the offensive. This ends now. As the hours tick down, John prepares for the final confrontation. He meets with his legal team, his tone sharp and focused. "We need to control the narrative. We need to make the shareholders see Richard for who he really is. A predator, ready to destroy everything for his own gain." The legal team nods, their faces a mixture of resolve and exhaustion. They know the stakes. "We've got one shot at this," John continues, "and we'll take him down any way we can. It's time to use everything at our disposal." The battle lines have been drawn, and John knows that this is the final push. As he leaves the meeting, he stands by the window, looking out at the stormy night. "No matter what happens, we'll go down fighting," he whispers to himself. "The end game is here, and the cost of victory will be steep." John Matthews stands at the edge of the precipice, staring out at the skyline of the city he's fought so hard to control. His final move is ready. The storm of the last few weeks has stripped him down, but now he's resolute. The merger Richard Cole is pushing for is closer than ever, and John has one last chance to make things right. His advisors have mapped out the moves, but there's a catch. They have to confront Richard head-on, using everything they have left. John knows this is his last opportunity. Every decision he's made has led him to this moment, and he won't back down now. "This is it," John says, his voice cold with determination. "We don't wait for Richard to make the first move anymore. We're going on the offensive." The weight of his words hangs in the air, and as the storm outside begins to intensify, John's mind races. If they don't act decisively, TitanCorp is lost. The final strategy session with his team feels like the calm before the storm. John's mind races through the plan, but he knows that the clock is ticking. "We're out of time," John says, as he looks over the room filled with anxious but determined faces. "Richard's going to take this company if we don't strike first." The team, shaken but loyal, nods in agreement. Derek's absence is a constant reminder of their past mistakes, but they have no choice now but to move forward. Caroline stands up, pointing to a map of the company's operations on the board. "We need to cut Richard off at the source. We target his allies, his financial backers. If we take them down, we cripple his plans." John's eyes narrow as he listens. It's risky, dangerously so, but it's their only shot at keeping TitanCorp alive. "We go hard. We go fast. No second chances. This ends tonight," he says, his voice unwavering. The first wave of their counterattack begins. John watches as his team goes into action, setting up meetings with investors, manipulating the media, and working behind the scenes to disrupt Richard's plans. As the hours pass, the tension in John's office becomes unbearable. His phone rings, and when he picks up, it's Caroline. "We've hit the first financial backer," she says, her voice tinged with excitement but still cautious. "They're backing out, John. The momentum is shifting." John takes a deep breath, but he doesn't allow himself to relax. That's one victory, but it's not enough. The plan is working, so far, but there's still much to be done. Richard won't give up without a fight. As John watches the live reports come in, the storm outside intensifies. His thoughts race as he wonders how much longer he can keep this momentum going. The next day, John receives news of a massive breakthrough. A key investor has pulled out of Richard Cole's camp, signaling a critical shift in the balance of power. The media coverage shifts in their favor, with reports now questioning Richard's true intentions. I know, but the victory feels hollow, and John knows it's not over yet. He calls a meeting with his core team, his voice steady but filled with the weight of the final push. "We've made progress, but we're not there yet," John says, his eyes hard with resolve. "Richard is still strong, but we've just given him a reason to panic. This is our moment to strike for good." The room nods, knowing what's at stake. John looks out the window once more, his gaze far away as he considers the cost of victory. Every move they make now could be their last. He can't afford to fail. The final showdown is fast approaching. Richard Cole's last desperate moves are met with an unwavering counteroffensive. John Matthews steps into the media spotlight, holding a press conference that will either seal his fate or secure his victory. "This is no longer just about TitanCorp," John says into the cameras, his voice steady but filled with raw emotion. "This is about the future of this company, about the legacy we've built, and about protecting it from those who seek to destroy it for their own gain." His words resonate with the public, and the tide seems to shift in their favor. The final decision is made. Richard Cole will face a hostile shareholder vote, and John will take back control. As the conference ends, John steps outside into the rain, feeling the weight of his choices. There's a quiet determination in his steps now, as if he knows the battle has been won, even though the war is far from over. The shareholder vote has arrived, and John Matthews stands before the investors, feeling the weight of TitanCorp's future. Richard Cole's forces are strong, but John has outmaneuvered him. As the results come in, the room falls silent. The chairman announces, "TitanCorp remains under your control, Mr. Matthews." John's relief is tempered by Richard's cold words. "This isn't over, John. The battle may be won, but the war is far from over." John takes a call from Caroline. "You did it, TitanCorp is yours." But John's triumph feels empty. "It's over for now, but I've lost so much. How do I move forward?" Caroline's response is simple. "You move forward because you have no choice." John watches the world move on, feeling the weight of his choices. The weeks after the vote are full of rebuilding. John meets with his team. "We're not out of the woods yet. We need to prove we can still lead." The road to recovery is long, and the future uncertain. John knows this victory is just the beginning of a much longer struggle for TitanCorp's future. John speaks to his core team. "We've made progress, but we're not there yet. This company needs us to fight harder." There's no more hesitation. He must rebuild TitanCorp from the ground up, proving that this victory means more than just survival. The final moment comes as John walks through the rain-soaked city streets. "I did around happy hour, automated and crazy, winter. Was it worth it?" he wonders. The sacrifices, the losses, they've led him here, but at what cost? He pauses in front of TitanCorp's towering building, feeling the weight of his choices. The battle is over, but John knows the real journey is just beginning.